Well, welcome back. It's day 4, and today we're going to talk about rule number 4, which is giving prospects options. Options are an easily overlooked element, but believe me, the value is huge. Okay, let's jump in. The first benefit of options is that options cut down on back and forth. Now, you know as well as I do in the agency space, a lot of our prospects are looking at 3, 4, 5 proposals. Having options allows them to compare apples to apples. The only other option is that they're going to have to email you and ask you a bunch of questions and create a bunch of busy work for you. If you give them some level of configuration, you can circumvent that. And it's also not always, it's not a terribly common thing. And so I think prospects really, really like to see it. I also would say it's better to lose a little and gain the project. So for instance, maybe you have a $25K budget, they deselect 2,000 and they close for 23. Well, I would rather have 100% of 23,000 versus 0% of 25,000, so long as you don't make anything mission critical optional. The next thing is FOMO. Options have a way of playing with the psyche a bit because they show you something you could have that's currently deselected. I'll give you some examples of this here shortly, but a very powerful concept. Another thing is unexpected selections. I can't tell you how many times at my agency where we put something as an option on a proposal and surprisingly the customer went with it. And then finally, phase 2 seed planting. Sometimes you put an option on a proposal and the customer loves it. Other times you're just planting a seed for phase 2 and your proposal is kind of acting like a brochure. All right, like in some of our other videos, I'd like to get real practical and show you some examples of this. So over here on Smart Pricing Table, I have a sample proposal for a branding and print job. And there's 2 types of options. So you could have an entire line item be optional, or you could have configurations inside of a line item. And so here I have the logo design. I go over what's included. And the configurations give the customer a little bit more control. Do they want a WebP version of their logo? What about additional concepts? Well, this is kind of cool because they can select it and choose, maybe they want 2 concepts. Perhaps they're a nonprofit and there's more cooks in the kitchen. There's also some additional revisions, but you can see this went from an original 2,500 to 3,165. And this is where the FOMO can kick in. You know, maybe they weren't even thinking about this, but they're like, yeah, actually we need that. I don't want to not have that because we've had some people mention WebP format in the past. Whether or not they even need it, they choose it, and some of that could be for fear of missing out. But you can see how they made the selections. They increased the price, and there's some real power in that. On the next line item, so by the way, logo design, this was not optional, but there were configurations for it. But this next one is optional. Alternative logo formats. Create logo in alternative formats and for various usage, black and white, landscape, and square. And they can turn this off or on. Now, this is really powerful down here. At my old agency, this probably made us thousands of dollars per month. And basically what you're doing here is you have additional items for consideration. And then you take a few ideas, maybe from the sales call or your intuition, and you throw some options in here. In this case, maybe a brand style guide. If they're going to do a new logo and some print work, maybe a brand style guide so that their team is, all on the same page in the future could be helpful. Or envelope design or envelope printing. I also included some pre-purchase hours. I always like to sell retainers when I can. So you can see that through options, you're allowing your customer to configure. It's empowering, and what I found is they absolutely love the control. Well, that's it for today. Join me again tomorrow where we'll talk about templates, how to think about them, and how to put them to use. See you soon.